I had already ground for hope that she had asked me to help her in the first throe of her trouble, but love makes its own doubtings, and I feared. My thoughts seemed to whirl with lightning rapidity, and in a few seconds a whole process of reasoning became formulated. I must not volunteer to be the friend that the father advised his daughter to have to aid her in her vigil, and yet that one glance had a lesson which I must not ignore. Also, did not she, when she wanted help, send to me a stranger, except for one meeting at a dance, and one brief afternoon of companionship on the river? Would it not humiliate her to make her ask me twice? Humiliate her? No. That pain I could at all events save her. It is not humiliation to refuse. So, as I handed her back the letter, I said: "I know you will forgive me, Miss Trelawny, if I presume too much; but if you will permit me to aid in the watching I shall be proud. Though the occasion is a sad one, I shall be so far happy to be allowed the privilege." Despite her manifest and painful effort at self-control, the red tide swept her face and neck. Even her eyes seemed suffused, and in stern contrast with her pale cheeks when the tide had rolled back. She answered in a low voice: "I shall be very grateful for your help." Then, in an afterthought, she added: "But you must not let me be selfish in my need. I know you have many duties to engage you, and though I shall value your help highly, most highly, it would not be fair to monopolize your time." "As to that," I answered at once, "my time is yours. I can for today easily arrange my work so that I can come here in the afternoon and stay till morning. After that, if the occasion still demands it, I can so arrange my work that I shall have more time still at my disposal." She was much moved. I could see the tears gather in her eyes, and she turned away her head. The detective spoke: "I am glad you will be here, Mr. Ross. I shall be in the house myself, as Miss Trelawny will allow me, if my people in Scotland Yard will permit. That letter seems to put a different complexion on everything, though the mystery remains greater than ever. If you can wait here an hour or two, I shall go to headquarters, and then to the safe makers. After that I shall return, and you can go away easier in your mind, for I shall be here." When he had gone, we two, Miss Trelawny and I, remained in silence. At last she raised her eyes and looked at me for a moment. After that I would not have exchanged places with a king. For a while she busied herself round the extemporized bedside of her father. Then, asking me to be sure not to take my eyes off him till she returned, she hurried out. In a few minutes she came back with Mrs. Grant and two maids and a couple of men, who bore the entire frame and furniture of a light iron bed. This they proceeded to put together and to make. When the work was completed, and the servants had withdrawn, she said to me: "It will be well to be all ready when the Doctor returns. He will surely want to have Father put to bed, and a proper bed will be better for him than the sofa." She then got a chair close beside her father, and sat down watching him. I went about the room, taking accurate note of all I saw. And truly there were enough things in the room to evoke the curiosity of any man, even though the attendant circumstances were less strange. The whole place, excepting those articles of furniture necessary to a well-furnished bedroom, was filled with magnificent curios, chiefly Egyptian. As the room was of immense size, there was opportunity for the placing of a large number of them, even if, as with these, they were of huge proportions. Whilst I was still investigating the room, there came the sound of wheels on the gravel outside the house. There was a ring at the hall door, and a few minutes later, after a preliminary tap at the door and an answering "Come in," Doctor Winchester entered, followed by a young woman in the dark dress of a nurse. "I have been fortunate," he said as he came in. "I found her at once and free. Miss Trelawny, this is Nurse Kennedy." End of chapter 2. Recording by Roger Moline.